the Learning Technology Center. I do all the technology training on campus, typically related to like the Cisco phones or WebEx or Microsoft Office. And today we're doing the 25 Live training. So this is our last scheduled training for this phase of the project. We're going to be posting this video on our website, and then also as the project kind of continues to move forward, we'll host different training sessions as new features become available. So this is kind of the first phase. We're going to use 25 Live as just a tool to look up what rooms are available. So it's just a quick and easy way to search for rooms and see what their availability is. So 25 Live is just software that helps us maximize and utilize our space across campus. So we're able to see if a room has a head count of maybe 15 people, and if it has a Blu-ray player or a DVD player, maybe some whiteboards, different things like that. It also gives us the ability to search for different events and locations across campus. So if there's a specific event you're looking for, a certain maybe a course name, or a study group or something like that that's happening on campus, you can very quickly search for different events throughout the whole campus. Eventually, we will be able to use the software to actually schedule events, but as of right now, and Tamala will kind of talk about this in a few minutes, is right now we're just going to use it to search for availability and search for events, but all of your scheduling will still be done through WINS. So as of right now, the people that can use 25 Live are going to be the academic schedulers in the registrar's office. And again, you're just going to really use this room to kind of view availability. All UWW staff and faculty will be able to search for events once we start rolling out the software, and even students farther down the line will be able to schedule rooms for study groups and different things. But again, as of right now, we're just using it for searching for rooms and availability. So I will hand this over to Tamala now to kind of talk about the scheduling process for fall.
All right, can you hear me? Sweet. So this is our process for fall of 2015. It's a little bit different than what we've had in the past, and it will most likely change again for spring. But this is what we're doing for the current semester. Right now, we're in what I've been referring to as business as usual, trying to get your schedules from your faculty, getting them to, pin down when they want to teach, maybe even, where within your priority rooms. And this is the point in time we're asking you to use your priority rooms to the best of your ability. Fill them up as much as you can. Just use the heck out of them. February 5th is when WINS will close for the first time. And at that point, we'll go through and do the traditional cleanup that we usually do, combine sections, any class notes, anything that needs to be adjusted before we continue onward. And then on February 10th, we will actually reopen WINS for you guys. And in the interim in between there, we will be running what is called the Room Optimizer. And what that is a piece of software that came with the 25 Live package. And what it does is we will load in all of our course information from WINS, and it will look and see for the courses that do not have rooms assigned to them in WINS. And what it'll do is it will help us locate a best fit room for that course. And eventually we'll be able to go on a section by section basis. If you have one instructor that always requires a whiteboard or always requires a projector, or somebody that has to have movable tables and chairs, we will also be able to do that as well and match up rooms even better. And we'll be sending that information out to the departments once the optimizer is run, so you can see what the system suggested as the best fit room for you. When we reopen on February 10th, you'll be able to go back into WINS and use 25 Live to help you locate rooms for any classes that don't have them at that point in time. On February 10th, when it reopens, priority room allocations for scheduling will no longer apply. That is a little bit different than what we've had before. So that's why we want you to use your priority rooms to your utmost now, because when we open on the 10th, anything considered general access will be first come, first serve for who can book that room for their class. And we did have, one of the handouts is the general access classroom list. So you can look at that and get an idea of which classrooms are considered general access and available to anyone. And so after February 10th, you guys will be able to go in. If you want to keep the room the optimizer suggested to you, you can go ahead, put it in, wins, hit save, and you're done. If you would like to use a different room, you can use 25 Live to search for a different room. And once you find that room, we're asking that for now you go back and put it into wins right away, because that will secure the booking for the room. Right now, we're not actually booking anything in 25 Live. We're still putting everything back into wins. We will be updating the 25 Live system about every 5 minutes with information from wins, so people will be able to see that those rooms are getting used. And then on February 15th, we will close wins again, and that is when we will go in with the regular process of doing the proofs and all of that and getting things changed for you there. All right, and I'm going to pass it back to Jessica, and she's going to start showing you how to use the software.
All right, there's one next slide here just about kind of going over what the spring, after spring break, we will hopefully start to kind of dive more into 25 Live, using it for actually scheduling events. But again, as of just this current upcoming semester, we're just going to use it for searching for rooms. But our eventual goal is to start using it, scheduling events through 25 Live, and then also allowing students and staff and faculty to go in and schedule rooms and create events and stuff like that as well. So to log in, I know some of you guys already logged in already. For today, we are going to be using our Play system, which is, you can find it at roomsdev.uww.edu/25live. So this is a system that we're actually going to use today so that we can go in and just play around and do searches and things like that. But when we, on February 5th, when the system goes live, you will log into rooms.uww.edu/25live. And we'll send out an email once that date comes to give you the direct link to the live system. But just for today, if you want to go ahead and log into roomsdev.uww.edu/25live, and it's going to ask you for your NetID and password. Now, in this room, we've been having a few minor issues with other browsers than, it seems like Firefox works the best in this room. But typically, anywhere else, you'd be able to use Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, any of your favorite browsers should work. So once you get to that first page, what you're going to want to do is click the Sign In button, which you can find either in the top right-hand side or the top left-hand side of the screen. So again, that's just going to ask you for your NetID and password. So go ahead and enter that in. And once you log in, you're going to see what's called the dashboard or the home page. Up in the top left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a tab called Home. So you can return to this dashboard, this main dashboard, at any time by just clicking that Home tab in the top left-hand corner. From here, you also have the ability to do a lot of quick searches. You have starred favorites, which are things that you frequently do along the way. So maybe you're always running a search on a certain room, or maybe you're always looking for a certain event, or you want to go back and edit an event at another time. You can do what are called starring your favorites. And I will show you how to do that while we kind of do some of these searches, but just want to point out that anything you star or save along the way will show up on this home dashboard. You also have the ability to customize your dashboard. So if you click on the Customize Dashboard button in the top right-hand side of the screen, this gives you the ability to drag and drop different element boxes around on your screen. So for example, if maybe I want to set all of my events over to the right-hand side, I can just drag and drop each one of these different element boxes to different sections on my screen. If I want to remove an element box from my screen, I can actually just drag and drop this up to this gray top portion of the page. Now it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but there's a box right up here that allows me to drag and drop different boxes. So if I just don't ever use this, for example, your starred reports, I can just drag and drop this up here and make it disappear from my home screen. Now the same thing, if I want to bring it back at a later time, I can drag that box back down to my dashboard to show that element box again. While you're also editing your dashboard, there's a reset dashboard button, which just resets all of your boxes back to the home screen. So you can reset and start from scratch. Once you're done making changes, just click the Done button in the top right-hand corner of the gray box. And now you have your dashboard customized. So one of the first things we're going to look at is the quick search box over on the left-hand side, which just gives us the ability to very quickly search for events or locations. So for events, we'll just do an example here. While people are creating different events or events are coming in through wins, you'll be able to quickly search for them by keywords. So now we could search for example, if I was hosting a department pizza party, I could just do a search for pizza, and any event with that keyword in there is going to show up in my list. This is also going to work for course or class names. So if you want to look for all classes with the word accounting or account, I can do a search for that and come up with a list. Now, currently we have the spring 2015 schedule loaded in 25 Live, so you'll only see classes related to spring 2015. But again, for example here, when I search for account, now I can see anything with the word account in here. It'll also search the name and the title. I think it might also search by organization. I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely know in fact, the name and the title will show up in the keyword search. And then from this list, you can also see what organization is putting on the course, the start date, the state of the event. Most of them are either going to be confirmed or tentative, and then the location that event's taking place in. If I want to learn more about a certain event or a course or class that's taking place, just click on the link to get into that, the details of that event. So what we'll do now is we'll actually hop back over to our home dashboard page. So click on the Home tab in the top left-hand corner of your screen. And now we'll just do a basic search for locations. So here you can search for room names or buildings and do a search based off of either of those. So for example, if I want to search for all buildings in McGraw, I can just type in MG as my keyword in the location search, and here this gives me a list of all of the room locations in McGraw by their name. Also under here, I can see what kind of category these rooms are going to fall under. Are they lecture halls? Are they general access labs? The features column is going to show us what devices they have in that room. So do they have projectors, or do they have a whiteboard or something like that? I can also see the layout of the room and then the max capacity, how many seats are available in that room. Now, one thing to show you again is as you're doing your search, I mentioned a little earlier that we can star our favorites. So along the left-hand side of your search results, you'll see a little star icon. And by clicking on that star, maybe that's a room that you will frequently use or want to view its calendar. So by just easily starring that room, it'll now show up on your home dashboard. So you can access that room on a regular basis. Are there any questions so far? All right, so the next place, let's go back to our home dashboard. So go ahead and click on the Home tab in the top left-hand corner. Now, as you can see is when we start doing these different searches, it'll always kind of take us to the same place. So if I do a search for events, it's going to take me to the Events tab that's located on the top of the page. Same thing with locations, is I can go to the same exact place by just clicking the Locations tab on the top of the screen. And when I click on either of those tabs, it's going to bring me to the last place I left off. So if I was doing a search, it's going to bring me back to that last search that I was running. One other option too for searching for rooms is, let's go ahead back to our home dashboard. So click the home tab on the top left-hand side of the page. And you should have a box somewhere that says find available locations. And here we have the ability to find a location based off of either when we want the location to take place, or when or where. So we'll just start with the first one, that I know when I want my event to take place. And here it just gives us some questions. So when do we want our event to start? And I'm just going to choose January 20th, since that's typically when we'll start to see the calendar fill in because of all the different courses that are happening. And then I'll choose a start and an end time. So I'll just leave mine at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. And then the number of attendees is required. And when you're doing searches, if you search for a room with maybe, for example, 0 to 15 heads, or you need at least 15 seats, if the search results come back with nothing, it could be that you just need to search for a bigger number, because what the software is going to do is actually try to find the room that best fits your needs. So in that case, it's saying, well, we don't have any rooms with under 15 seats. So maybe you have to go to 30 seats. Maybe you have to go to 50 seats. So that's just something to keep in mind, is as you're doing different searches, if you're not coming back with the results you expected, you may have to go back and broaden your search a little bit. So in this case, I'm just going to say 30 seats. And I'm going to select Show Me What's Available. And here what it's going to do is go through all of campus and find what is going to meet those needs for that date and time. So here I can go ahead and scroll up and down, but I can see that it's returning results for all classrooms. So there's some in McGraw, there's some in the Williams Center, Winther Hall. So this is really going to search for all rooms that are going to best meet your needs, and it may or may not be in your building. But here I have the ability to say, oh, it looks like McGraw does have an opening with a max capacity of 30 seats. So I can go ahead and click the Use This Location button if I were going to go ahead and schedule this room. Now again, because we're not scheduling, this is really just to help you find a location based off of your needs. After spring break, we'll start using the location searches to actually schedule events. So now, just to get back to our main search for find available locations, you'll want to click on what we're calling the blue tadpole, or the little refresh button in the right-hand corner of the find available locations box. And this will just reset your search. So now what I'm going to do is click on the I know where my event should take place, but I'd like to choose a time. So when I select that option, it gives me the ability to, again, type in either a classroom name or a building name. So again, I like to use McGraw since this is my home base. So I choose MG and I click Go. It asks me to select my location. So if I want to select a specific room that I want to view the schedule for. The next option below that is somewhere between, and you can set a date for your event. So again, just to show you what it'll look like on a normal semester, I'm going to choose January 20th through January 23rd. And then choose Select Date Range. And then click the Show Me This Location's Availability button. And now, based off of this, these results are going to show me between Tuesday and Friday, January 20th and the 23rd, the room is available at 8 a.m., but booked between 9 and about 1:30, 2 o'clock. But then after 2 o'clock, there's really only something scheduled on Wednesday. Between 2, 3, 4, 5, and beyond, this room is available on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Oh yes, there's one other thing that you may see. When you do the searches, there's going to be this big box that says, what is the availability view? And this is just kind of helping you show, kind of explain what you're looking at. if you click the hide this guide button in the bottom right-hand corner of that box, that will go away. And then if at any time you want to bring it back, just click on the what is this view over on the right-hand side. So that'll bring that little help box back, and then you can hide it again if you want to have that disappear. Oh yeah, yep. So these are going to be the different times between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. across the top of the results of the page. And then yeah, on the left-hand side is going to be the date. Now there's different views that we're actually going to go over here in just a second. So you'll soon figure out what view works best for you. Typically, I find that the system brings you to the Availability Daily tab, but there are other tabs here that we're going to click on, and we can go ahead and do that now. If you want to go ahead and click on the Details tab for your search results, what this is going to show you is just the details of your room. So you can see over on the left-hand side, there's features. So this room has a projector. It also has movable tables and chairs. Under attributes, I can see different information about this room, and then also who would be the contact if I needed to get approval to use this room. So that'll be kind of under the priority schedule department or the technical support contact. That's going to list who owns the room or who I would need to get approval from to actually request the room. In the middle of the page, you'll see there's the max capacity is listed and also categories. So what type of room this is going to be, if it's a general access lab or what the layout might be. So this will give you kind of just an overview of all the different features of that specific room. And then eventually, hopefully down the road, we'll have over on the right-hand side an image of what the room looks like. So you'll have an idea of what kind of room you're scheduling.
At this point in time, we're listing the priority room scheduler just in case somebody needs to use it during priority time. Because during priority time, nobody but classes are going to be able to schedule. So it's going to be similar to how it's been before, where you schedule your own spaces. And we're hoping this will actually, I guess, encourage people to not schedule other people's spaces until after the point of general access use. The name will stay, but it's not something that they're going to be required to look at anymore. Because we also do have some rooms, this particular room is not department specific. For rooms that are department specific, like some of the bio lab, for example, or an art lab, those will have a list of who needs to be contacted in order to schedule that room all the time. And that'll be listed differently than just your priority person. That will be like the room owner. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to list that yet, but yeah, we will still be doing our memos every semester the same way we do now. Any of the dates that are important like this will be listed, and assuming that we do continue to do the general access time period, those days will also be listed. So you'll know that after WINS closes on this particular day, when it reopens on this day, anything considered general access is first come, first serve and will not require approval. Mm-hmm.
We have a library conference room that seats about 12 people, and we have it set up right now that if people outside of my department want to use it, they need to come to me and ask if it's available, and I make that reservation. Will that remain the same, or will people be able to just go in and find that room?
They will still have to ask for approval to use a space like a department conference room. The way we have the security set right now, the vast majority, if not all of the conference rooms are not viewable because we haven't set the security for those since we're doing event scheduling after spring break. So leading up to that point, we'll be talking with the departments who have those spaces to find out who is the person that needs to approve those to be used. And we're working on getting email functionality, so you'll get an email when somebody requests to use your conference room that says you have a task, so you can log in and see who requested to use the room, when, and why, and then you have the ability to approve or deny that request. It's much the same as you do now. It will. They are also going to be using this system. So our goal is, in phases, we will eventually be doing all event scheduling through 25 Live, so everything can be viewed in the same system. Classes will still be done through WINS, the same as they are now, but every room on campus that can be reserved, conference rooms, study rooms, academic spaces when there aren't classes in them, everything will eventually be in this system. It'll help us better report our utilization and how we're using our spaces. So in the future, we can have better data for remodel and building projects.
All right, so next we'll go ahead and we'll click on the List tab. And this is just one of the many views that you can see to look at a room's availability. So when I click on List, here I can see all the different events that are going to be taking place. I can see this is searching between January 20th and January 23rd. And then these are going to be all the different events. You can quickly see what the head count is, what organization is putting on the event, and when the start date and event times are for that event. So this is just one of many views. If you don't like this view, you definitely don't have to use it. The next option, again, is the availability daily, which is typically one that you'll see right away when you do a search. And from this view, we have, again, the ability to select our start and end dates. We can select what weekdays, or if we want to select weekends. So you can click the little drop-down button to select, maybe you want to also see Saturdays. And then here again, you have your date listed along the left-hand side column, and then the time of day on the top row. So you can see what rooms are available based off of those days and those times. Now our next option is availability weekly. Now this is my favorite view because I can select to view a room over multiple weeks. So for this view, what I'm seeing is, again, my start and end date that I'm searching for, what weekdays I want to see, but now I also have this number of weeks drop down where I can say I want to search for availability over an 8-week period or over a 12-week period. So if you use that drop down, and I'll select 12 just for this example, what it's going to do is show me over a 12-week period that, for example, this room, McGraw 117, is busy on Monday all the way from 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. So this gives me a really quick and easy way to see what rooms I can use for reoccurring events. So here maybe on Tuesdays, this room is available after 2 p.m. And if I wanted to do Tuesdays and Thursdays, I could do that because this room is available during those time periods. So this is a really nice view if you're going to be creating reoccurring events. The last view here is the calendar tab. And you can select that again to kind of view what an Outlook calendar would look like for a room. So you can see on Tuesday the 20th, there's 3 different events going on in this room, and it looks like the last event ends at 1:45. So it's really a preference thing depending on whichever view you like the best. Let's jump over here. So the next option we have is now we can really create advanced searches. So we can drill down and customize our searches so that if we want to select from a room, but we also want to make sure it has at least 30 seats and also has a whiteboard, we have the ability to really customize and drill down. So there's a few different ways you can do the advanced searches. One is we're going to actually click on the Search for Locations tab up in the top left-hand side. And now from here, by the search by keyword, there's actually a space here for more search options. So if I click more search options, it's going to give me a number of different options to select from. So if you click the edit next to categories, you can see that you can select what type of room. Maybe it's a general access lab, or you're looking for a dance studio or a certain kind of room that meets certain needs. You can select and deselect as many of these as you want. So if you want to search by multiple criteria, you can definitely select by just checking the box and then clicking done. You can also do the same with features. So if you're looking for something with maybe a projector in it or a whiteboard. So in this case, I'll just choose AV projector. Over on the right-hand side, you see layouts. So if you need a certain room that is maybe lab or a studio or a tiered auditorium, You can choose the different types of layouts. And then also the capacity. So again, for most searches, you'll probably, because we don't have a lot of rooms with under 15 seats, you'll probably want to at least start with 0 to 30, for example, because that will bring back some search results. And then when you're done, click the Go button to run the search. Now in this case, because my search by keyword actually has MG in it, it's only going to search for rooms in McGraw that meet those criteria. So now I can actually remove the MG by just clicking the little X to the right of the keyword that I have entered. And if I run the search again, so just click Go, now it's going to come back with rooms all over campus. So now I can see I have Center of the Arts, I have Heidi, I have all different kinds of rooms. And then once again, I have the ability to star any of these rooms as favorites. So if these are rooms that maybe might meet my needs on a regular basis, go ahead and star it to your favorites. And then again, it's going to list all of the information. So what category that room is, what features it has in that room, and what the max head count is going to have. And then again, at any time, you can actually click on the name of the room to get to that room's calendar to view its availability. Now, one thing you can do too is as you start getting more and more search results, each search will have its own tab specific to what you're searching for. So you might start to see maybe 1, 2, 3 tabs start to accumulate here up on that top row. So if you actually click the red X at the top right of that tab, that'll let you just close out of that search. So just remove that tab. And that, it's not a big deal. It's just helpful to know in case you start to have a lot of tabs that show up on your page. Some more advanced search options we have are going to be the predefined location search. So again, this is a tab that kind of shows up on the top left part of your screen. And here I can search by specific groupings. So maybe I just want to do a search for certain layouts of all the rooms on campus. These are all predefined for you, so you can just very quickly choose one of these. So for example, I could choose features, and I could say projector, so I'll look for AV projector, and then click run. And then again, it's going to look for all rooms that meet those categories or meet those certain search criteria. I could look at, for layouts. I could look for max capacities. Maybe I want to find a room that has 0 to 24 seats. Click the run button, and again, it'll go through all of campus and find rooms that meet those criteria. And then the last advanced search option, again, is the advanced location search tab up in the top left. So over here I have a couple different, again, this is where your starred searches are going to come into play. You can quickly see your starred searches you've done in the past, or you could click the new search button to really drill down and create multiple criteria for your search. So again, this is more and more advanced. So if you really get familiar with the system and you want to always do a search based off of certain criteria, you can do an advanced location search. So in this case, I'd click the Add Criteria button, and I'm going to choose one of my first criteria. So maybe I'm looking for a specific location. So I choose locations and specific locations. I'm going to click the little pencil button to the right of specific locations to be able to select the different locations I want to search by. And then from here, it's going to give me a number of different options where I can look for specific locations. So I can browse for locations. I can do a search based off of location names. And I can select multiple locations from here. So if I just click on each one of these, it'll add itself under the selected locations list. So maybe I want to select from these 3 rooms. All right, so from the advanced search, we'll go ahead, we click the little pencil button here next to specific locations to select the different locations. So here in this case, I selected 3 different rooms, and I click the done button. And now I can add multiple criteria. So I can just click the add criteria button again to select now maybe I want to search for certain features. I click the little pencil button to the right of that, again, to include my different room features. So again, I'm going to choose projector since most of those are in every room. And now once you have all your criteria, you can run a search. And then also, if this is going to be a search you do on a regular basis, you now have that ability to save this search to your favorites. We're also going to post a key of some of these kind of weird terms that may, like I think somewhere in there's Elmo is a keyword that comes up. So we on the website, and we'll show this at the end of the presentation, we're going to be posting keys and frequently asked questions and some other things that'll help you make a little bit more sense of some of those weird terms that come up.
One thing we did notice right away too is for rooms that have a computer and a projector set up with the screen for PowerPoint, it's only labeled as projector, and the assumption is that it also has the computer with it. So that's something that'll be available in that key. We also have certain rooms, like we have a telepresence room. Most people don't know what a telepresence room is, and it'll just kind of briefly describe for things like that are a little weird, or maybe there's an older version of the same terminology that we still use commonly, but it's not what's labeled in the system. So we'll still be able to find everything. And some of the rooms in Highland right now don't have all of the technology in the development system, just because we were working with ICIT and the restaurant system to get everything integrated and updated so we can keep track of those things better.
Another thing too, if you see some technology that's not included in a room, let us know, because then we can add that. Also, we were talking about in some of the earlier sessions that some people would like a room with 5 whiteboards, or if we only list one whiteboard, it's really hard to be able to really drill down for specifics like that. So if you see specifics that you think might be helpful for searches, let us know, because we can add that into the system.
So if you know off the top of your head a certain room has 7 whiteboards in it, please let us know. We would love to include that in the system, because we do get people who say, I want a lot of whiteboard space. And some of them might specifically want a whiteboard wall, or they're okay with the whiteboard in the front and 4 or 5 boards on the sides of the room. Usually it's our math teachers that work in groups, especially the rooms in Highland with the side whiteboards are really nice for those, that they can do that.
And again, there are many ways to do the same search. This is kind of the really, really advanced screen. You can do a lot of the same searches under the search for location tab by just clicking that more search options link. Again, you'll have, be able to select a layout or a category or a feature. If you really, really, really want to drill down and you get really familiar with the system, that's where you can use kind of these advanced location searches, adding criteria. The nice thing too is if I were to run a search here and nothing were to come back, which is most likely because I'm being too specific, I can just click the X button to the right of any of these different criteria to just remove that from my search. So in this case, I'll just remove specific locations. So now when I run my search, it's going to search for any room with a projector that's also in McGraw and give me the list. And again, it's going to give me the ability to star any of these over on the left-hand side next to the room or the name of the room. And then again, if this is a search I'm going to use on a regular basis, maybe always search for rooms with whiteboards, I can click the Save button, and I can name this search whatever I want. So I could say McGraw projector. And click it. Also check the box that says add your starred searches and click the Save button. And now when we go back to our home dashboard, that search will show up on your screen so that you can very quickly just click on that keyword and it'll just run the search for you automatically. This is another one of those things you just have to play around with, get familiar with how it works and what you're looking for. I mean, it probably looks a little overwhelming in the beginning, but once you start, you're probably always going to search for the same kinds of rooms or with the same features. So you'll get familiar with that. That's why those starred favorites and starred searches are so helpful. Is you don't have to search for it again. Just star it to your home page, and then you don't have to worry about it. Yep. So this system is going to be available as long as I don't know how long we're going to forever indefinitely. So yeah, feel free to come in here and test and play.
You can do
Yep,
it
you
from
can do it
anywhere
from
on
anywhere.
campus. You can access it from anywhere on campus. And in the development system, feel free to do everything you would normally do. Run searches, check rooms, anything like that. If you run into anything that looks weird or seems a little off, you can give one of us a call, shoot us an email, and we'll help you figure it out. Another thing too is if you're going through and you're noticing, maybe you're not finding a room you're looking for, or something is labeled incorrectly, or as Jessica said before, if you notice anything about a room that might be missing, let us know and we'll verify it and we'll check it out and make sure that everything is as updated as humanly possible for us.
Now, just another thing to point about the test system here that we're using is anything you star or save as a favorite isn't going to transfer over to the live system. So this is really just to play around, play with the different settings, play with the features, delete things, whatever you can do, and see, just get very familiar with the system. There's also another handout, which is like kind of a practice sheet. And at the end of this class, feel free if you want to stay and run through some of the scenarios. Take it back to your desk if you want to and play around for the next few weeks or however long you'd like, just to get familiar with the different search options and the different things you can look at, the different calendar views, things like that. All right, the last way to search for rooms. I know there's tons of different ways you can do this. And the last one, oh yes, there's also that missing rooms assignment. So this is helpful if you have a number of courses that don't have rooms assigned yet. You may just want to do a quick search saying, show me all of the rooms for my courses that do not have room assignments yet. That's under events, I believe. So under events, again, the events tab, and then we're going to go to advanced event search. We're going to do a new search. So click the new search button and then add criteria. So now we can choose a organization. So if you want to choose your specific organization, and again, click the little pencil over to the right to select your organization. So again, you can either look at your starred ones, you can browse organizations by types or categories, or you can do a search. So here, for example, maybe I'll just choose by college. Under categories, college, and I'll just do subject. All right, so in this example, we're going to do subject. So we're going to choose categories and then subject. And this should all be working in the live system. The test system, we're still in the process of loading information. So what was the subject I want? It doesn't matter. Accounting, is that?
You can pick anything. Okay,
so I'll choose a subject accounting. And again, you can select multiples if you want. So I could choose accounting, ICINDP, and as many as I want. They'll show over in the right-hand side. So in this case, I'll just do accounting. I'll click done and select we also have to do add criteria. And then choose missing location assignments. It's going to select, ask us to select a start and end date. So I'm going to choose the spring semester. So I will choose January 20th through May 19th. And then click the search button. And now anything, in this example, nothing shows up, but choose account. Oh, did I choose too many?
Did on ComDis. Sorry, that was my mistake. Because accounting actually has rooms for all their classes.
All right, so let's.
Because they are very efficient.
Account, and we will choose
ComDis.
Let's see here. There we are. So we'll choose ComDis, and done, and search, and there we'll get a list of all the different rooms, and then over you'll see on the right-hand side of your search results that the location is blank, and that's because no rooms are assigned. So this is just a quick search that you can run, and again, I encourage you to save that search if this is something you do on a regular basis. You can run this search very quickly from your home page and find all the courses that are missing a location based off of your criteria.
one thing about the way this particular search works as well is if you have a class that has multiple meeting patterns, so you meet in one place Monday, Wednesday, and one place Tuesday, Thursday, if one of those two, so say your Monday, Wednesday doesn't have a room on it, the course will still come up even though your Tuesday, Thursday is filled in because your Monday, Wednesday is blank. So that's nice if you need a space for your second meeting, or maybe they didn't know where it was then, but you know now. It just helps you be able to have another way to double check that. And another thing too, I like using Comdis as an example because they do a little bit of everything. They have classes with multiple meeting patterns, classes that are combined, classes that meet both in the room, online, in a specific place. Maybe they meet off campus. They do a little bit of everything. So they're a wonderful example. And another thing we're going to do with our key is we're going to have a list of what these little letter codes mean. Some of the classes you'll see will have MMP or CS after them. And MMP is multiple meeting pattern. That means there's more than one line of a meeting pattern for them. And the CS is for combined sections. That was one thing when we were going through, we had to figure out what those meant. So that was when we decided we needed a key to help you guys figure out what those meant. Those are still done. Those will still be done the same way, where you email me and I'll put them in for you, because that's something that we in the registrar's office we do the notes, and that's not something that's widely available.
All right, one other way, especially if you're scheduling or you want to look, find a location for a room that may have a lot of reoccurring meeting patterns. So this is where we can kind of go through the event wizard. Now we can get to that from either the home, the dashboard, so by clicking the left-hand home tab in the left-hand corner and choosing create an event, or you can just click on the event wizard tab in the top left-hand corner. Either way, it's going to take you to exactly the same place. So what we're going to do is that we're just going to kind of go through the process of the event wizard. But again, at this point, we're not using the event wizard to actually schedule rooms. It's just to find rooms available. So the first thing it asks for is an event name, so that you can just type in, I think you were saying there's probably like if you want to do searches for a certain room.
Our suggestion for this is for your event name, you can either put in the class you're looking for a room for, or just put in room search. And then we do have under the event type, there is an event type that is room search. So just in case you do accidentally save it in the system, we can find it quickly and pull it out so we can get the integration going in from WINS. So it's just a double check, so you don't have to panic if you accidentally hit save and it's out there. We can find it and we can take care of it.
What you'll see too is as we enter in these different wizard categories, things with a little red asterisk to the right of the name is going to be a required. So it will not let you progress through the wizard until you fill in that required event type or whichever. So for example, event title is not required, but event type is. So if you use the drop down, you can either select from the options by scrolling up and down, or there's a little search box up here so you can actually type in the search. So I can, if I know what I'm looking for example, meeting, I could start typing in meet, and then it'll come back with the word meeting. And then I can select that. And then as I progress along, you get a little green checkbox next to the things that are successfully complete. So on the next step in this wizard, we'll go ahead and click the next button. And here it's a required expected head count. So again, you'll probably want to type in a max number. So typically you want to start with a number that will give you a good number of results. So 30, 50, depending on what type of room you're looking for. And then you also have an event description. And the more detailed you can be in the event description, the better, again, because when we start using the system for searching for or running reports, this way we can prove that maybe your department needs another conference room, or maybe you need another building or whichever. The more information we have about why a room is used, the more reason we'll be able to bring that to the provost's office or the dean and say, look, we need more space. We're using all of our rooms and all the rooms available on campus to us. So it kind of gives us a reason to to bring to them for different things. And again, this is a required event, so or a required entry. So I'll just put in a very basic for this search. Now over on the left-hand side, you'll see that as I'm filling out these different wizard questions, it's going to give me what I'm selecting over on the left-hand side. So as I start going down the wizard process, you'll see all these different options. Now I can quickly jump back and fix maybe I want to make my head count 50 by just clicking on the 30 attendees link over on the left-hand side. So if I click on that link, it just jumps me right back to the head count page. And then again, once I'm done with that, I can click the next button. And the next option it's going to ask you in the wizard is to select if you want this to reoccur on a regular basis. So here I can select either no or yes. So for this example, we're going to just choose a reoccurring event so you can see what the options are. So we'll click yes. And the next page is going to ask us for our event start and end dates and times. So maybe I'll choose January 20th, and then also between 1 and 2 p.m. And then if your event requires a pre or post takedown or setup, you have the ability to enter in how many days, hours, or even minutes you'd like in advance or after the fact to prepare for your event or take down your event. And then just click the next button to move to the next page. Now this is really where you can customize how your event reoccurs. So for ad hoc repeats, it's individual days. So you could say maybe on January 20th, you want your meeting to be on Monday, but on the next week, you want it to be on a Wednesday, and the following week, you want it to be on a Tuesday. This gives you the ability to just pick dates on the fly. For daily repeats, you can do repeating, for example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or you can do it if you always want it to be on a Monday or always want it to be on a Monday, Wednesday. You can choose daily repeats, same thing with weekly and monthly. So just for this example, we'll choose weekly. And here I can say I want my event to repeat on Mondays and Wednesdays or Mondays and Tuesdays. And I can select my end date for my event, or I can select it to end after so many occurrences. So after 8 weeks, after 12 weeks. So in this case, I'm just going to choose 10. And now what you can see is when you have repeating events, it gives you this little comments box here. And this could be helpful, for example, if you want to be kind of detailed in what an instructor might cover over different weeks. So maybe this is Unit 1, and this is Unit 2, and this is biology, and this is cell biology. You know, you have the ability to enter in these different comments to really show a person searching for this event what's going to happen on that day. So I just say next to the status. Now this again is going to be eventually when we start using the system to schedule events. But under status you have either active or canceled, I believe it is. And this is helpful if, for example, there's a snow day and the instructor decides to cancel that class for that day. You could just come in the system and select cancel. And again, this is eventually down the road. And then the reoccurring event is still going to reoccur, but that specific event that day will be considered canceled. And again, if students are searching, they'll be able to see that. So then again, you can scroll down and click next when you're done selecting your event information. And this is going to start looking for locations for my event meeting my requirements. So again, on the left-hand side, I can see that I've selected my head count, my date and start and end times, when my reoccurring patterns are. And again, I can select anytime any of these to edit them. And then here, it's going to start out with my starred location. So anything that I've saved as a favorite, it's going to look first to see if maybe that room is available. Anything with a green check mark says it is available for that occurring event. Anything with an exclamation point means there's one or more conflicts. So you probably wouldn't want to choose that location. There's these little checkbox right below that as well. enforce head count, and only show authorized locations. So if some of your search results aren't coming back, you may want to uncheck those boxes. But just be aware that, like, for example, if you uncheck enforce head count, you may receive results for a room that's too small for what you're looking for. So again, if you do this, if you look here in the search, it actually tells you max capacity. So you can say, oh, well, it is coming back in my search results, but the max capacity is too small, so I'm not going to use this room. And then below that, you also have the ability to search by a location name, search from saved searches from the past, or do an advanced search, where again, you have the ability to choose special features that you want in that room. What category it falls under, and you can choose or not choose to enter in any of this information depending on how specific or broad you'd like your search. Again, the type of layout. Capacity here, you have these little boxes, and this is going to start your minimum and your maximum capacity. Now this box you can see is set at 10. But over at the very far right-hand corner is another box. It's really hard to see on your screen because first time I was like, I really don't want to search by 200 people. So if you just slide this over, you can really narrow down your head count for your searches. And again, just click the search button. Now, also one other thing to remember here is it's not going to let you move on in this wizard until you select at least one location. So you just remember if you see any of those like red errors or anything like that to kind of check them out, because it's probably telling you that maybe a room doesn't meet your needs. Maybe it's too small. Maybe there's some kind of conflict in what you're searching for. So then again, when I hit search, now all the rooms I'm looking at right now are saying they all have some kind of conflict. So I may need to go back and adjust my head count or my layout or something like that to get some more search results. And then just to show you what the process is, so I'm just going to come up here and find one of the rooms that did have a green check. And then again, you can see over on the left-hand side that my room now shows up. And I can see my progress bar along the way. So we're almost done with our search. If we click the next button, it's going to ask us for who is scheduling the room and who is requesting the room. So you have the ability to request or schedule a room based on somebody else's request. And then click the next button. And if this event falls under a specific category, and again, this is if once we start scheduling events, the more detailed you can be, the better. But this is not a required setting, so you could just click next or save. And then again, you have the next page gives you comments and internal notes, so any additional information you want to add, or maybe as if somebody's approving a room for you, they might add a comment in here, or an internal note as they're going through and scheduling the room. And then when you're all done, you can click save. And again, this is going to be when we start actually scheduling events here. And when I click save, I see that at the top of my page, there's a bunch of different errors. So now I know I need to go back and modify my search results before I can actually schedule this event. So typically, if I click next, my next option is to set my event state. And normally there's a few options here. Right now I have a tentative, or sometimes you'll see a confirmed state. Depending on what your permissions are, you'll see different event states. Technically tentative, if you select tentative, that means the room is booked. People will see it as being booked. It might not be fully approved, but up to that point, it is considered reserved. So I will just select tentative and click save, and let's see if it lets me save my event. So it's not going to in this case, but typically once I save my event, I'll be brought to a page where I have the ability to print out my event details, or I can star my event to my home page, or maybe I can, trying to think what else, I can email my event to other colleagues or to myself. Along with going back in and editing my event if I want to change any of its properties based off of whatever. I might have received a comment saying that maybe that room is just not available, or maybe that room is just not going to work. So this way I can go back in, edit my event, change its properties. Again, you can very quickly access any of this information by just clicking on the link over on the left-hand side, and maybe changing the room that you selected or the date and time you selected. So now if I go back to the home dashboard, anything I've started along the way is going to start showing up. Now, sometimes you may need to actually refresh each element box depending on what you're looking for. Again, we call it the little blue tadpole. So if you click on any of these boxes, any of your new starred favorites will show up under each of these boxes. And then you also have your starred or recently viewed. And here, let me just move this up to the top so it's easier to see. But here, anything that you've recently viewed will also show up here. So you can quickly go to that room's calendar or see that event that you just scheduled to if you need to edit and make changes. Any questions again about the event wizard? Again, it's really just used to kind of help you find a location as of right now. Once we start scheduling events, it'll become a lot more useful to actually book rooms and have, again, students eventually down the line will be able to book study group rooms or rooms for maybe some kind of team meeting or different things. So eventually down the line, students and other, all staff and faculty will be able to use this.
How that's going to work is right now we have an agreement with all of the other event schedulers that the academic classrooms are off limits until 10 days after the end of priority registration. And that goes for each term, and then we release the classrooms for other meetings to be scheduled. So up until that point in time, only the classes can be scheduled and moved around in the classrooms. And that is something that's going to be staying in place for the foreseeable future unless we find good reason to change it. And as of right now, we don't have a reason to change it. It's been working for us for years, and it's going to continue to work as far as we can tell.
So we'll just go over just a few questions. Frequently asked questions is if you are requesting a space that's not yours or you don't typically use, it could take 24 to 48 hours before you get an approval for it. So someone who is assigned to approve it will actually get a task assigned and eventually an email that will tell them somebody's requesting the space. Do you want to approve or deny it? And again, this is going to kind of be after spring break. Let's see. Anyone who's assigned to that building or space is going to be in charge of actually approving or denying the request. So again, they'll be sent an email if somebody's requesting the space, and you can very easily say deny and give them a reason as to why they can't use that. Maybe it's a specific chem lab and they can't just use that as a study room. Or the football center, you can't just book the football stadium for events whenever you want. Exactly. As much as you want to. It would be fun. And then not all spaces will be approved if for whatever reason you don't meet those needs. So, if you're asking for a football center or the football stadium and they don't want to give that out to you, then you may be denied. So they may ask you to find a different space to hold your event. All right, so now the last page is just where it can get help. Again, Tamala and myself, you can email us, call us if you have any problems, questions while you're playing with the system or once the system goes live and we start using it really to look for events. Feel free to call or email us. Once things kind of settle down and people get familiar with the system, you can always just email the help desk, open a ticket. It'll be probably routed to Tamala or myself or maybe Ruthie. For us to help you anyway, so it doesn't matter. You can contact us in one of many ways. And then also everything that we've talked about, I've posted the slides for today's presentation. I've also posted a detailed reference manual, which is about 20 pages on the website, so you can download that. It's a PDF file whenever you want. And I can actually just go to this page here quickly so you can see what it looks like. So the easiest way is to just go to the UW website. In the top right-hand corner, use the search to search for 25 Live. And when you do a search, the first option that comes back is Event Room Scheduler 25 Live. So if you select that, the description page is just going to give you a brief description of what 25 Live is, but there's also this training and documentation tab. And this is where I'm going to post everything from this recorded video or this recorded audio session, reoccurring training events that may be coming up. You can contact training if you want to request a one-on-one training on 25 Live, or maybe you want to set up a department training for more people. And then also any documentation I create. I'm also hoping to create a quick start guide, which will be like 1 or 2 pages, just a quick reference, how to search by location, how to search by event, stuff like that. So as we progress through the different phases, I'll update that documentation so you can always have the latest information. But yeah, this is a great place to find information about the current features of 25 Live. What we're also talking about is we'll probably end up holding a reoccurring, maybe with the start of every fall semester. We'll have a refresher course. So, you know, people go on vacation and the holidays and everything, and when they come back, they don't remember necessarily everything that they did before they left. So we will, and as new features come out, we'll want to keep you guys updated on that information. So we'll hold regular training classes, beginning of semesters, to just refresh everyone on how to use the system. So yeah, feel free. I mean, we're pretty much done with the training here, but if you guys want to practice with the practice sheet, or if you want to just run off to your desks and do it on your own, or feel free, stick around. I think we have the room for another 45 minutes. So feel free to stay around, ask any additional questions. And again, if you find any problems, maybe something's spelled wrong, or maybe a room is defined as general access and it shouldn't be, let us know. We can make the updates so that the information will be correct on the live system. But thank you for coming, and hopefully this was helpful.